So you've been thinking about buying a new house? You think you're safe? You think it's a little bit better than trying to buy a used house? You get to put whatever you want in it, into all these stuff, your own cabinets, your own flooring, all of this cool stuff. All you have to do is wait a little bit. Well, there may be a little surprise for you. I'm Eric Hudson. I'm a real estate agent here in the Las Vegas, North Las Vegas and Henderson area. And if we haven't met before, what I do is help great folks like you buy and sell real estate here in the Las Vegas area. And if you have any questions, just reach out. My information is below, of course, and you can call, text, email me, and we will get back to you as soon as humanly possible. So when we talk about new houses, now I've broached this subject a few times before, and today a new one came out, and I just wanted to go over it with you because there's this YouTuber I follow, Steve Leto. He's a attorney out of Michigan, and I just love his videos. And he's done a few housing videos in the past, and I've wanted to comment, but when he does two videos within a few months on the same subject, a subject that I thought was only going to be one time, then I knew I just had to go ahead and do a reaction video. So before we get into it, let's go ahead and go through a little bit of the basis. Now, you think you sign a contract for a new home that, hey, you're going to get a new home. They build it, you finance it, you move in, hey, you're cool, right? Well, I've kind of mentioned this before. There are board-specific contracts that you sign for buying and selling houses. Well, those are meant to be fair to everyone. The builder, they have what's called attorneys, and they put together contracts that are fair to no one but themselves. So before I get too deep into it, let's just listen to Steve for just a second.
A lot of crazy things that happened in the real estate market in the last couple of years. And I did a story very similar to this not so long ago. And
and that story he was talking about was in the Atlanta area where a builder canceled contracts on folks and just said, hey, you need to come in with more money or else we're going to sell it to someone else. And the people who didn't come with more money, they sold the houses to someone else because the value of the houses had gone up while they were sitting around getting built. So let's see what happens next.
And what that is someone will find a piece of property or they'll find a builder and say, I want to build a house. They sign a contract to build a house. We've decided not to let you, or they'll find a builder and say, I want to build a house. They sign a contract to build a house and the builder finishes the house and says, oh, because of the certain circumstances we're under right now, we've decided not to let you get this house. We're simply going to sell it ourselves because we make more money that way.
That's kind of what happened in the Atlanta case, except for in Atlanta, what they did is they just gave them a chance to come in and give them more money. So I don't know how bad it was in Atlanta. This one gets a little bit worse. Stand by.
And a lot of builders' contracts contain a clause that says they can do that. It's just that no one's ever heard of it happening that often before.
Now, the reason it didn't happen before is because it was unnecessary. The time between you signing a contract and the time that you would actually go and actually execute on that contract, in other words, the finished house, usually in the good old days it was 5 or 6 months. The value of the house may have gone up, but not by that much. In the case that you're going to learn here pretty soon, the difference between when they signed the contract and when they were supposed to close was 16 months. And if you know what's been happening in the market, 16 months can be several $100,000.
And many people who sign the contracts don't catch that that's there. And so
Now, one of the reasons the people who sign the contracts don't catch that it's there is they went in without a real estate agent. They went in without anyone to advise them. They sure as heck didn't pay an attorney to review it. That's another reason why if you're going into a new build, you need to have a professional on your side because something like this could possibly happen. Not saying it will happen, and to be honest, here in Las Vegas, it has not happened that I know of, but if housing prices go up, you never can tell what happens.
They say they're doing is they're canceling for convenience.
No, not your convenience, their convenience, aka I can make more money than I can by selling it to you.
The family says they have a warning for anyone who's buying a home from a builder. Just days before closing on their home, their builder backed out. The builder's contract that they signed left them with virtually no protection.
Now remember this, the contract that they signed without anyone reviewing it. Now, again, you shouldn't even call the contracts with builder contracts, as they used to say in the military. When you sign your enlistment commissioning contract or whatever, it's not a contract, it's an agreement, because it's one-sided, based towards the government. These are like those contracts. They can do what they want. You can't do what you want.
They were days away from moving into their forever home in Oakleaf, Texas. They had the movers booked. They'd bought a fridge. They were ready to go. 6 days before closing.
6 days. 6 days before closing. Now, it gets worse. It gets worse. How can that be worse? You're going to find out in a second.
6 days before closing, after spending 16 months on the build, a text message changed everything.
A text message. It's like breaking up with someone over text message. It's like that idiot company who fired a third of the company over a text message. Then again, one of them did it over Zoom, but not pay. They could have Zoomed them in at least, right?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Oh yeah, bearer of bad news.
But we've decided to terminate the sales contract with you dated 12/15/2020. That's what the text said. The builder was backing out. A clause in the contract allowed the builder to cancel for convenience and simply sell the home on the open market.
Most of the contracts are going to have something like that in there. You need to be aware, and you also need to be tracking what's going on in the market, because this could happen to you.
The new price was $300,000 more than these people had contracted to buy it for.
Remember, that was 16 months ago. That house went up $300,000. Let's not be, come on, let's be honest here. There are plenty of people who are going to go cancel you for $300,000.
And so think about this. If the value of the home plummets, they make you buy it.
And I'm gonna call foul on that. The value of the home plummets. Like, let's say this was 2008, somebody bought a new bill. I'm sure lots of those people walked away and they just said, that $2,000 that we gave you, keep it. And I'm sure the builder tried to do something, and who knows, they could have had something in the contract where they could force stuff, but no.
If it skyrockets, they cut you out of the picture and sell it. So they're basically shifting all of this risk onto you.
Yeah, that's what corporate America's been doing for several years. They want you to take the risk and for them to have all the benefits. When capitalism says you take risk, and for risk, you get great benefits when you succeed. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have two birds in the hand and the one in the bush.
Meanwhile, the couple and their 2 kids are about to be homeless. I'm still in disbelief even to this day. The couple is suing the company.
Good luck with that. You're going to find out most builder contracts require arbitration. And your lovely Supreme Court years ago ruled that you don't have a constitutional right to a jury trial, that corporations can force you into arbitration. And here's how arbitration works. They get to choose the arbitrator. You have to arbitrate in the state and jurisdiction that they choose. Let me see, if they choose the arbitrator and you have to arbitrate in their state jurisdiction that they choose, they're paying the arbitrator they choose. No wonder they win so many arbitrations, huh?
Which is the parent company for the builder. The lawsuit alleges the builder coerced them to sell their home under threat that the building project would not continue, and in reliance that the builder would deliver the final building project.
This is mighty common, believe it or not. They don't want to end up in a situation where you can't sell your house and they're stuck with this house, especially if the market's going sideways or down. They want their money. Okay. There is a particular builder here in Las Vegas who would not be named because, you don't want to get in trouble and them going like, you're that guy. They require, if you own a house, that you go through one of these iBuyers. I'm not going to say which one. I mean, realtors here in Las Vegas know what I'm talking about. They will require you to go through that iBuyer and get a quote on your house. And I don't know if they try to force you to take the money the iBuyer is going to is offering you, but I do know you are required to go to that iBuyer and have them look at your house. They don't want to be stuck.
They live in a house. They want to build a house or buy another house. And of course, that means there's two transactions, buying a house and selling a house. And there are people who get stuck where they bought a new house and haven't sold their old house yet. But here, they managed to sell their current home, and apparently that was part of the contract that the builder of the new home wouldn't proceed past a certain point because the builder would ostensibly be saying, I'm worried that unless you sell your home, how do I know you're going to move into this home? So in an email from the builder in September of 2021, the couple was reminded, you need to go ahead and start working on getting your house sold. There was a grace period where they could pay $2,000 a month in carrying costs to buy more time before moving into the new home.
Now, carrying costs, in other words, to ensure us, give us more money. That's what it really means. Free money. I guarantee you that did not come off the top. In other words, if they owed, bought the house for $500,000 and they did an extra 6 months and gave $12,000, I guarantee you the new house price is not $488. That's just carrying cost. But it gets worse.
But it says that upper management will not be granting contingency extensions.
Upper management will not grant contingency extensions. Keep this one in mind. Keep this one in mind.
So the buyers here said our previous home went under contract in less than a week, so that was not the issue. Their buyer gave the family a lease back so they could stay in the house past the date the builder said the new home would be done.
Now, let's talk about lease backs for a bit. Now, that's something good that you can get if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, can actually get you a house. I've talked about this before. Lease backs, especially more than 2 or 3 weeks ago before the housing market hit that wall, were very common, especially in cases like this. One thing you have to take into account, how long that lease back is. Some sellers want a lease back that is longer than is legally allowed. So there are limits to lease backs based on the type of loan you have. And maybe I'll do a separate video on types of loans and these lease back carryover periods.
Because that would allow them to work the transition out smoothly. Then that day came, and the house is not even close to being done.
Now, the house is not close to being done. There were no contingencies that were going to be allowed by upper management. Let's keep going.
So they moved into an Airbnb until their house would be done. Of course,
that's more expense to them, more expense to the family, not the builder. But remember, no contingencies. But the family didn't get any leeway on contingencies when the builder was not ready. Interesting.
Inconvenience, but they're okay to deal with that. They also even went ahead, for instance, and contracted a pool company who went out and surveyed the land and showed what the pool would look like when it got installed.
So these folks were already ready. They showed they were getting ready to move in. They've sold their house. They even had the pool company go out, survey the land, do renders of what the pool's going to look like. They were ready to move forward.
And then closing day came on April 15th, and it was supposed to be the home stretch, as we say. So the builders told the couple they need to move the closing date due to a delay.
The builder told them they needed to move the closing date due to a delay. Remember, no contingencies were allowed for the buyer, but the builder, they were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do, right? They had all the cards.
There was a delay on carpet, which caused them to reschedule closing to April 22, 1 week later. It's another hassle, but 16 months of moving, building, and so on. They thought, well, we'll deal with it. Then the text message, 6 days before the new closing date, the builder was canceling the sale.
6 days prior to the closing, the builder forced them to sell their house, move the dates themselves, and they said there were no contingencies allowed, and now cancels the deal. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Escrow and upgrade money they had held for more than a year would be refunded.
The escrow money held for a year will be refunded. For most builders, the escrow fee is like $2,000 and 10% of any upgrades. So if they did $100,000 in upgrades and it was a $500,000 house, they're getting back $12,000 and they're living in an Airbnb and they have no place to go.
No reason, no nothing at all, the man says. Like, can you do this? So Fox 4 asked attorney Jason Friedman, who is not associated with the case, to review the sales contract.
Y'all know where this is going, right?
And he said, this is basically an agreement to hold you hostage. If you're signing a contract like this, yes, you could be homeless.
Yes, you could be homeless. Now, this is rare, so don't be frightened about going into a new bill. Just know that if the housing market were to go nuts, this is something that can happen. My commentary on it is we've hit a wall in housing. This is probably the last time we'll see this. And I'm actually surprised we're seeing this late in the game because, like I said, 3 weeks ago, a wall got hit nationwide.
So unlike a Texas Real Estate Commission promulgated sales contract which offers protection for both parties, Friedman says the building contract here left them vulnerable. It's important to note the contract clearly reminds buyers they can seek independent legal advice before signing it, and this couple did not.
Independent legal advice or have a competent realtor with you because they're not going to pull as many tricks in front of that realtor, and it does not cost you a single penny. Not one. Not one.
There's a contract I want you to review for me. And I don't do a whole lot of this anymore simply because I don't have time for it. But I've had people bring me contracts and I've put them on the table and said, just so you know, everything here is pretty standard except for this one provision. If that one provision gets invoked, here's what could happen to you. And people look at me and they go, how often does that happen? And I say, that's not actually a job for an attorney to tell you because I wouldn't know. I'm not sure anybody would know unless you found like some industry insiders who keep track of this stuff.
Debating here. Possibly, we'll see how it works. Leave in this industry insider who keeps track of this stuff. Industry insiders. The National Association of Realtors may keep track of this. I sincerely doubt that. Anybody else who's keeping track of this are trade organizations run by the builders, and they are not going to let that information out because they don't want to frighten you.
But the point is that clause is there. And the clause could be invoked by them. And if it is, you're in a lot of trouble. And I've seen it in situations involving properties. I've also seen it involving in situations with employment contracts. Fox 4 asked the builder to walk them through the terms of the contract, and they denied the interview request, saying it would be inappropriate. Instead, they pointed to the more than 160 homes they currently have under contract. They add, while cancellations are not what the company intends, their contract clearly addresses this possibility, which can be part of doing business.
Part of doing business. They point to the 160 other transactions. No, don't look at this one over here. It's like the wizard behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, Don't. We're selling at 300,000 more over here because we're going to make some money. And don't pay attention to this one over here that you don't know about. Look at the 160 that we put through. The 160 that may have been spec bills. The 160 where they purchased the house 6 months ago. And these folks had a super highly customized house that took 16 months to complete instead of 6. Their houses only went up 50,000. Theirs went up 300. We had input price changes, and we can make 300,000 more. Come on now. Look at the 160. Look at the 160. Look at the cute monkey. Look at the cute monkey. Remember that South Park episode? Look at the cute monkey.
In this contract, I'd say there's no protection for the buyer, the attorney said. Section 10, termination of the contract, says, seller maintains the right to terminate this contract for convenience and without regard to fault or breach, meaning no extra notice, no reason at all. The seller can walk away and do what they want with that house. And by the way, it does say without regard to fault or breach.
Without regard to fault or breach. In other words, you didn't have to do anything wrong. You did everything right. You did everything they requested or demanded, like selling your home. You are now effectively homeless. The only difference is you have money in your pocket and you're homeless. I mean, you could be living on the street with a tent, but I got $300,000 in the bank. Makes you feel good, right? I should put it in the stock market or something.
Meaning that you don't have to do anything wrong to get this clause triggered. All it takes is them changing their mind. They change their mind and go, oh, we changed our mind. We can make more money selling this on the open market.
Oh, let's just change our mind. Can you change your mind? Can you invoke some clause to allow you to do a secondary sale, aka a ABBC transaction? Hey, I don't want to buy this house anymore, but you know what? It's worth $300,000 more. I don't want to wait. I'm going to assign this house somewhere else. Let them buy it, give me the difference or split the difference with me because they can get it for 150 less. I can make 150 and go do whatever else I had to go do. Do you think they would allow that? Got the answer? No.
So the attorney said it's basically a get out of jail free card. The contract, meanwhile, limits damages paid to the buyer to $500.
I'm homeless and I just got $500. I feel so good right now. Gives me a warm and toasty feeling.
And the same contract also waives your right to a jury trial. And you're not allowed to hold up the claim regarding the title. And of course, if you do any of these things, you are in violation of the contract.
You're in violation of the contract. You're in violation of the contract. You're in violation of the contract. I'm the Oprah of home builders. So you can be in violation of the contract, but they can't violate it. It's like I had a DO once say, I was a tanker guy. The tanker is never late. Whenever we show up, that's when we're on time. That's what it sounds like to me.
So the attorney points out it's all right here. Some of it's in bold letters. They know every angle that you might come at them from, and they cut it off here.
Because they have attorneys. Do you have an attorney? No matter what, have somebody review that contract. You're all nice and happy. You go in. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, look at the floors. Look at the cabinets. Have somebody review that stuff. Don't get caught up in the moment.
So the solution is you could try and negotiate the terms of a builder contract before you sign, or you could opt not to sign the contract at all and go with somebody else. So in this case, the couple here found themselves canceled for convenience.
Canceled for convenience. Well, there are other ways people are being canceled now, but for convenience is a new one.
I suspect that before 2 years ago, this did not happen as often. But as you can imagine, if you contracted somebody in February of 2020, before COVID was a thing, and they spend a year and a half building a house, we know that what market prices have done in the real estate market, right? Prices have skyrocketed. Different parts of the country, it's different amounts, but the point is that prices have gone up. So if you contracted back here for this price to build a house that's now worth this much, and the builder has the option of cutting you out of the deal, guess what's going to happen to you?
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody thought that the housing prices were going to crash because of what was going on, because no one had realized the underlying stuff that was going on with the economy and that we were actually short on housing. And when people went to work from their homes, it made it even worse.
So I suspect this has happened a lot more than we've heard about. It's just not everyone goes to the TV station and complains, and not everyone who goes to the TV station and complains gets on television either.
Squeaky wheel gets greased. The nail that sticks up gets hammered. They probably didn't expect these people to have balls to go to the local news station. Good for them. If somebody screws you over like this, immediately go to the press. Make a big thing, go like, oh, no worries, I can't sue you. Okay, I'm gonna go to the press and I'm just gonna talk about this all day long, unless you pay me. Do that.
But this is a wild story, and the lesson to learn here is if you're going to sign a contract to build something, especially for hundreds of thousands of dollars, you should read the contract carefully, look for clauses like this, and if necessary, hire an attorney, pay him a couple $100 to review it with you. And the attorney's going to tell you what I just told you. They're going to go through and say all of this is standard stuff, except for this clause right here, which might be standard, by the way. But understand what that clause can do. And that clause can come back to haunt you in a really, really ugly fashion. Because remember, it says that they can just cancel for no reason. It doesn't say how they cancel, the timing of how they cancel. And most contracts that are written carefully will often have, if somebody has the right to do something, all kinds of rules regarding notification, saying that if you want to do this, you got to do it in this time frame and notify us in a certain way and take all these certain steps. And then, by the way, you're still going to owe us money for the inconvenience you put us through.
See, that's called contract law. Just contract law. This is not a contract. This is an agreement that you're signing. And you're signing away your rights to a jury trial. And it's one-sided to them because they got very smart attorneys that get paid very good money who went to very good schools. Do not let them snicker you into this. They're going to hurry you through these contracts if you go in without representation. It's all standard. If it was all standard, it would be on state forms. The state forms are standard. They've been passed by a legislature. You can go find them anywhere. Call up a builder today and go like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house from you. Can I get a copy of your contract? Try it. Just try it.
And yet, they can call you up and say, your closing is set for the 15th. We got to push it back to 22nd. You okay with that? Okay. On the 16th, they call you and go, oh, we're canceling the deal. Yesterday, you told us we were closing in a week. Yeah, we're canceling the deal. Turns out they can do that. That's the crazy part. So some people are going to ask, Steve, what if this contract is considered unconscionable or so lopsided that a court could step in and say, that's not fair, the way this happened? Possibly. That's the only possibility here, I think. However, most judges are going to read this and go, you signed it.
You signed it. You didn't go to law school. You didn't go to Yale or Harvard, like most people didn't. People who wrote it did. And you're going to be held responsible for what you signed. Get it reviewed.
The contract's pretty clear. And it's not like they had a gun to your head. And
in a way, they had a gun to your head because let's say in the last year, you tried to go buy a house, you had a gun to your head. Before, a lot premium may have been $5,000. Then it was $50,000. Then you had to go into a lottery and bid. Then they built houses and told you what you were going to get. You had no choice. That is a gun to your head, okay? Do you understand? You did have a gun to your head, but, these are the people who control the government like everything else. You ain't got a choice. You're done.
How many builders are out there? You could have hired any one of them. Not all of them have this contract yet. But a lot of them are adopting it right about now. So.
Oh, yeah. You haven't found out. You're going to adopt it. It's like going to prison. I saw this clip from something. A kid was being sentenced to prison by the judge, and he was like, hollering like that was the greatest thing ever. And the lawyer's like, what are you doing? I'm going to the greatest university on becoming a criminal ever. I'm going to come out a master. At the end, they showed this kid, man, he had like the dreads and everything. He was like hanging off with the brothers and stuff, man, give them bro hugs, leave out. They're going to teach these guys in the rest of the country who are not screwing over their clients how to screw over their clients. This is a master class of criminality. A person once said that in America, no great fortune was created without a great crime beginning. So this is the foundation of a great crime that's going to make a lot of folks money. Let's see where it leads. I've been talking about lately there's more inventory sitting on the market because people who bought their houses 6 months ago, or at least put it into contract, they're now, the interest rates have gone up so much. It's like banks are going like you can't afford it. So they're coming back. So you got a little bit of a window. Go up in there, take advantage of them for a minute, but you're not taking advantage of them because the person bought the house for 500 is worth 550 now. Even if you bought it for 525 and they're giving you a discount, they made an extra $25,000. You get it? You get it? Okay. So something else you need to get is I put videos out like this every single week exposing the industry, talking about Las Vegas, what it's like to live here in Las Vegas, and of course, you know, the real estate market. And if you want some more of this hot fire, hit that subscribe button. And of course, I got more videos for you to watch because I'm bringing the fire every single week.